Have you ever opened your front door and realized the person standing there could destroy everything you believed about your family? I never thought that would happen to me. But one cold October evening, after 10 long years of silence, my daughter came home. She did not smile. She did not cry. She did not hug anyone. She looked straight into my eyes and quietly said, "Dad, I need to talk to you alone." In that moment, I felt something inside me break before I even knew why. Before I tell you what happened, take 1 second to subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that the people we trust the most can sometimes carry the biggest secrets. Now let me tell you the night that changed my life forever. My name is Michael Carter, and I was 72 years old when everything I believed about my family fell apart. I had spent more than 40 years working as a mechanic in a small town outside Chicago. It was never a glamorous life, but it was honest. My wife, Margaret, and I raised 2 children, Emily and Daniel. We were not rich, but our house was always full of laughter. At least, that was how I remembered it. 10 years before that night, Emily disappeared from our lives. She wasn't kidnapped. She wasn't dead. She simply left. She packed a small suitcase, said she needed to find herself, and drove away before sunrise. She ignored birthday cards, Christmas letters, and every phone call I made. Sometimes I wondered if I had failed as a father. Other times I convinced myself she was happier somewhere else. Eventually, the phone stopped ringing, and the empty chair at our dinner table became something we no longer talked about. Margaret took it the hardest. Every birthday, she baked Emily's favorite apple pie, hoping maybe this would be the year our daughter walked through the front door. Every year, the pie ended up untouched. As for Daniel, he refused to even say his sister's name. He believed she had abandoned us without a reason. Whenever I tried defending her, he would shake his head and leave the room. Years passed that way. Life became quiet, predictable, almost peaceful, until that October evening. Rain hit the windows while the wind pushed leaves across the driveway. Margaret had already gone upstairs because her arthritis was bothering her. I was sitting in my old recliner, watching an old baseball game I wasn't really paying attention to. Then someone knocked. 3 slow knocks, not loud, not soft, just enough to make my heart race for reasons I couldn't explain. When I opened the door, I almost didn't recognize her. Emily looked older than her 42 years. Her brown hair had streaks of gray I had never seen before. Dark circles rested under tired eyes that looked like they hadn't known real sleep in months. She carried one worn leather bag over her shoulder. Nothing else. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. I wanted to hug her. I wanted to ask where she had been. I wanted to tell her how much I had missed her. Instead, she whispered, "Is Mom here?" I nodded. "She is upstairs." Emily closed her eyes for a second, almost as if she was gathering strength. "I can't see her yet." The words confused me. "What do you mean? I only need you right now." There was something in her voice I had never heard before. Not fear, not sadness, something heavier. Like someone carrying a secret that had become too painful to hold. I stepped aside and let her in. Margaret called from upstairs, asking who was at the door. Before I could answer, Emily grabbed my arm. "Please, don't tell anyone I'm here yet." I stared at her. She had never begged me for anything before. I quietly answered my wife, "Just a delivery." Emily waited until she heard the bedroom door close again. Then she finally looked at me. I don't have much time. Every question in my mind fought to come out at once. Where have you been? Why now? Are you okay? But something told me to stay quiet. She slowly placed the old leather bag on the kitchen table. Her hands were shaking. She unzipped it carefully, reached inside, and pulled out a thick brown envelope that looked older than I expected. She rested one hand on top of it, but didn't open it. Instead, she looked directly into my eyes. Dad, before you see what's inside, I need you to promise me one thing. I swallowed hard. What promise? No matter what you find. Don't let Mom see it until I explain everything. The fear in her face was real. And for the first time in 10 years, I realized my daughter hadn't come home looking for forgiveness. She had come home carrying something that could destroy our family forever. I looked at the envelope without touching it. It was thick, worn around the edges, and sealed with old tape that had turned yellow with age. My hands felt strangely cold. I had waited 10 years to hear my daughter's voice again. But this was nothing like the reunion I had imagined. Every father dreams about welcoming his child home. I never imagined my daughter would return carrying a secret instead of a suitcase full of memories. Emily kept her eyes on the envelope. "Please," she said quietly. "Promise me." "I promise," I answered, though I had no idea what I was agreeing to. She took a slow breath and peeled away the old tape. The sound seemed louder than it should have in the silent kitchen. Inside were several papers, a few handwritten letters, and one faded photograph. She pulled the photograph out first, but held it face down. "I've carried this with me for 10 years, she whispered. "I almost burned it 100 times. Why didn't you?" "Because the truth doesn't disappear just because you hide it." Those words hit me harder than I expected. Emily finally turned the photograph over and slid it across the table. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. The picture was old, maybe 35 years old. The colors had faded, and one corner had been torn away. It showed a group of people standing in front of a small lake cabin. I recognized the cabin immediately. My heart skipped a beat. It had belonged to my younger brother, Robert. We used to spend summers there when the kids were little. I looked closer. There was Robert, there was my wife, Margaret, there was me. Then I noticed someone else, a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 5 years old. She was standing between Margaret and Robert, holding both of their hands. I frowned. "I don't remember this." Emily didn't answer. I looked again. Then something strange caught my attention. The little girl's face had been circled in faded blue ink. On the back of the photo, someone had written 5 words. "She deserves to know everything." The handwriting looked familiar, but I couldn't place it. I turned the picture over again. "Who is this little girl?" Emily's lips trembled. That's the question I spent 10 years trying to answer. 1,000 thoughts raced through my mind. Was she a cousin? A neighbor? Someone's child visiting for the weekend? Nothing made sense. "If this girl mattered," I asked, "why don't I remember her?" Emily looked at me with tears in her eyes. "Because someone made sure you wouldn't." Before I could respond, I heard footsteps upstairs. Margaret, she was coming down. Emily quickly gathered the photograph and the letters back into the envelope. "Not yet," she whispered. The stairs creaked. My wife walked into the hallway wearing her reading glasses. She smiled at me. "Who were you talking to?" I froze. Emily had stepped just out of sight near the pantry. For a second, I thought I would have to lie again. Then Emily slowly walked into the hallway. Margaret looked up. The smile disappeared from her face. Neither of them moved, neither of them spoke. 10 years of silence filled the room. I expected tears. I expected a hug. Instead, Margaret's face turned completely pale. She wasn't surprised. She looked frightened. Emily spoke first. "Hello, Mom." Margaret gripped the railing so tightly, her knuckles turned white. "You shouldn't have come back." The words echoed through the house. I stared at my wife, unable to believe what I had just heard. Emily lowered her eyes as if she had expected that exact response. "I didn't come back to fight." "Then why are you here?" Margaret asked, her voice shaking. Emily slowly lifted the envelope. Because it's time. Margaret's breathing became uneven. For the first time in our 48 years of marriage, I saw genuine panic in her eyes. What did you bring? Emily didn't answer. Instead, she placed the envelope back on the table. I found his storage box. Margaret's face lost every bit of color. No, I have every letter. No, I have every receipt. Margaret shook her head. No! And I finally found the photograph. The room fell completely silent. I looked from one of them to the other, feeling like a stranger inside my own home. What is she talking about? I asked. Neither woman answered me. Margaret suddenly walked toward the table. I'll throw it away. Emily stepped in front of her. You've been trying to bury this for over 30 years. I was protecting this family. You were protecting yourself. The words landed like thunder. I had never heard my daughter speak to her mother that way. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. You don't understand. I understand more than you think. I finally slammed my hand on the table. Enough. Both of them looked at me. I'm done listening to half of a conversation. Somebody tells me what's going on right now. Emily slowly picked up the photograph again. She looked at me for a long moment before speaking. Dad, everything you believe about the day this picture was taken is a lie. She placed the photograph in my hands one more time. Then she pointed at the little girl. This child didn't disappear. I looked up at her. Then, where is she? Emily took a deep breath. She's been a part of this family all along.